On this edition of Football Focus, you'll hear from head coaches Matt Bodamer of the unbeaten Kane Wolves, Ridgway's Mark Heindl, Chris Dworek of the St. Mary's Dutch, and Justin Bienkowski of the 3-0 Port Allegany Gators. Our special guest is B94 announcer and a guy who does a great job with Western PA sports blog, Nate Steis. Hi, I'm your host, Bob Parana. Before we get to the chats, let's take a look back at Week 3 of District 9 League Football. Five teams remain unbeaten. The Kane Wolves rallied from a 17-0 halftime deficit to beat Ridgway 24-17 at Memorial Field in Johnsonburg. 2024 PIAA Class A runner-up Port Allegany improved to 3-0 with a 27-14 win in last year's Class 2A runner-up Central Clarion. Union AC Valley won for a second straight Thursday night, defeating Keystone 15-14. The Punxsutawney Chucks rolled again with a 58-13 win over Bradford. Cameron County was a 38-22 victor over Smithport. Previously unbeaten, Karn City lost at home to DuBois 56-42. Brockway improved to 2-1 with a 42-6 win over Red Bank Valley. Monotone also earned its second win down in Buckball 45-0. St. Mary's earned win number 1 in Brookville with the Dutch beat the Raiders 24-14. Also picking up their first win was Otto Albertine who beat Tylersport 48-22. On Football Focus is the head coach of the Kane Wolves, Matt Bodamer, whose squad rallied from a 17-0 halftime deficit to beat Ridgway and Johnsonburg 24-17. Matt, we're doing this again, but again, take me into the locker room at halftime. Was it fire and brimstone, or guys, we can do this? Let's just get it together.
Definitely more the first rather than the later. But before the game, message was kind of us as a coaching staff. We know who you guys are, and we know you're absolutely capable of winning this game. Then all you have to do is just go out there and be yourselves. And unfortunately, they were kind of a lesser version of themselves in the first half.
Yeah.
And so the message at halftime was more or less, that first half, that situation doesn't define us as a team. That's not who we are. That's not what we're capable of. And so now what's left to do is just go out and respond to that situation. And so, yeah, schematically, effort, all those things were kind of be thrown out. We were calling a lot of guys out. And I could not have been happier with just the maturity level of basically every single person that got called out. Heard some harsh words and things like that. And for them to be able to respond and kind of take that criticism right on the chin and come out and play like they did the second half was absolutely awesome to see. Yeah,
you had to feel almost like a player in there. I'm sure. It was the perfect storm, though, because you get the opening, the kickoff start second half, and I think Preston made a big fourth down play or something happened on there where you went for it on fourth down. Was that like, guys, we're either going to do it now or we're going to have to go back to work here again? I love the call, Matt.
Yeah, I like the kind of, I think each possession truly matters a whole lot. So I always kind of err on a little bit risky rather than safe with it. We saw a couple things on film at halftime too that we were pretty comfortable with a lot of the pass play calls that we were going to have. And that one in particular, Preston has just kind of that innate ability to find spots in a defense.
Yeah.
And he couldn't have done better that time. Just kind of popped a little bit past the linebackers, and our quarterback and him have an awesome relationship that way that they kind of both knew what was happening before it happened. So
yeah, that's so cool to watch that development. Okay, then you guys score. Then you block a punt down deep in their territory. You don't get in, but then you do it again. And you kind of alluded to maybe Dad coming up with something there. What was going on there? What'd you see, Matt?
Yeah, we call him the old guy here. He gets to scream and rant about special teams all week, about the importance, and everyone kind of chuckles at him. And hopefully they start taking him a little bit more seriously now. After the last couple of weeks, we've made some big plays. But yeah, he had a pretty cool scheme drawn up for a bunt block this week. And yeah, we were just lucky enough that the snap was just kind of just bad enough to give us another half second for us to get there both times. So
yeah, it you know, there it is, Preston again. You block the punt after Shrub blocked one, and it's a touchdown. We're tied. You know, they're up by 3. What's the buzz like there?
Yeah, I mean, obviously at this point, momentum's in our favor, and now we kind of have our whole offense back in the game in terms of play calling too, which is awesome. We don't restricted to just airing it out or 2 minute or anything like that. So for us, yeah, with momentum, kind of a reset of the whole ball game. Yeah, super confident at that point. Our defense is playing well. Special teams obviously playing well. So
yeah, you know, it was one of them deals too where you just started to take over the game, in particular Isaiah. So you guys get the ball back. We're into the fourth quarter. You get a motion penalty or something. So 97.5 yards away, Evan Anderson. I didn't know the kid could fly like that. The guys on XZY are going nuts. What a play. I mean, did you know he had afterburners like that? Because he had some speedsters chasing him.
Yeah, I can't say we tell Evan enough how gifted he is athletically.
Yeah, and he's big.
He's just sort of one that hasn't had one of those big running plays for a touchdown that we can really remember. But us as a coaching staff, it's just, we knew it was just only a matter of time. And hopefully now it gives him a little bit more confidence too, start doing that every week. That sure would be nice. Yeah,
that was awesome. You know, that Ridgway was moving the ball a little bit, but you end up getting it back. And how cool is it to have a kicker like Tyson Boucher, you know, that's able to, you know, him and Casilio for Ridgway, they're almost automatic. I mean, Casilio missed a 34-yarder just short before the half, but how cool is that to have that in your pocket, a kicker?
Yeah, it's definitely not a luxury that many have in high school. Yeah, I have all the confidence in the world in Tyson, and it's kind of crazy too. The kid shows up for about an hour every week. He's a really big member of our soccer team. So it's just a natural ability to come and just kick for us is pretty unprecedented. I keep trying to convince him this might be something he could look at doing in college. But, it's awesome. And especially at the end there, I put a lot of pressure on him. Like looking back, I didn't actually love the idea of having him kick the field goal. I wish I kind of just would have went for it. On fourth down and just put the game away with a touchdown, just because of all that pressure. But yeah, he didn't bat an eye. He says, "Oh, that's another extra point." That's what that looked like for him. So
that's cool. Hey, I gotta, you know, then you know, Ridgway's got a last shot. That's what you play for. They're either gonna go get a touchdown, tie, or go for 2. And coming up with the interception, I believe, was Mr. Anderson. Just right place, right time, man. So you're kind of down in it there. What was it like, those final seconds ticking away?
Yeah, I mean, awesome. Like I said, I was sitting there kind of thinking about our decision, but ultimately, after the kickoff, them going on offense, I have the utmost confidence in our defense, and our defense coordinator, Ray Mays, has been unbelievable. So, very confident once we kind of went on the other side of the ball. And Evans, once again, just a freak. So, but I just couldn't be happier for these guys. It's been a long time for, I haven't been part of a game like that in Kane yet. So just hopefully more confidence keeps building. So.
Yeah, one thing in the second half, too, your offensive line was doing it. And correct me if I'm wrong in any of these. You got senior Thomas Shrub at center, and you also on the line have Isaiah Smith, obviously what he does on defense. I got junior Damian Wells, junior Aiden Eckert, and junior Mason Bernecki.
Yep.
All right. Tell me about what those guys did. That and then they're playing two ways, too. A lot of these guys. How proud of you were you, especially, the 97.5-yard run, but just the way they kind of were controlling things in the second half, Matt.
Yeah, they were definitely on the end on some of those discussions at halftime.
Yeah.
It starts with them, and they know that. They are absolutely great kids. They're just gamers, super mental. Isaiah and Tommy are kind of the leaders in terms of just there mentally for everyone. They're unbelievably smart. They're getting it. And, watching them succeed and move the ball, I know meant a lot. To them because they were feeling it at halftime.
Right. That's so cool. Okay, so this is what the experts would call in college and the NFL a potential trap game on Friday with Keystone coming to town. And Keystone might be 1-2, but they've really gone head-to-head with Central Clarion. That game, it was closer than the 30-12, and then they lost a tough one to Union AC. Can't be too high, and I know, fans don't quite get it sometimes, but I know you guys as coaches take it one game at a time. Focus me in on Keystone and what you're going to have to do, Matt.
Yeah, contain. They have a ton of really great athletes on their team, and so keeping them all in check. Their offense is a lot of misdirections, and they're just kind of letting their athletes be athletes. I'm not going to say it's backyard football because their head coach is a really good coach.
Yeah,
he
knows
knows exactly
dude.
what he's doing.
Yeah.
They're putting their athletes in positions in open field that we have to make plays. So, that's definitely the key. And then just establishing the run is kind of what we always need to do. That's kind of that's the first part of our offense. We need to be able to run the ball. So we do those two things. I'll be pretty. I think our chances will be pretty good.
Well, I expect a big crowd up there. And again, the guys on ZKY, they just do an excellent job at the coverage and looking forward to that. But, I think it's just going to build more and more people coming to the games. That's just, again, we talked a little bit a couple weeks ago, just how the community is accepting all this. And, and that kind of oomps the other sports too. So you got to be proud being a Kane Wolf, my friend.
I am. No, I'm unbelievable. I'm unbelievably appreciative of all the support that we get. It matters a whole lot to these kids when people show up. And, I know it matters a whole lot to our community too when the kids show up. So
yeah, that's awesome. Okay, I've been throwing coaches a curve a little bit this week, so I'm going to ask you anything you do different on game day, Matt? Any kind of quirk or any lucky rabbit's foot or anything like that, or you just were going ahead, boys?
My
Socks.
biggest thing is I hate warming up.
Yeah.
I would rather get off the bus and take a lap around the field
and
let the whistle blow and get going. I'm a nervous wreck always, no matter what. And the sitting around and waiting is what I hate most. In terms of, not much of I don't have any rituals that are too weird or anything like that.
All right. Yeah, it's, Tom Petty, waiting is the hardest part, buddy. And I know the fans are waiting for Friday night. I'm waiting for Friday night. Dude, you got something special going on, and I just love checking in with you, Matt. You make my day today.
Yeah, well, I love to hear it. I'll do it any day.
Okay, my friend. Give him a heckle on Friday, and we'll talk to you soon, Matt.
All right, sounds great. I appreciate it.
Joining us in Studio B via telephone is Mark Heindl, the head coach of the Ridgway Elkers. Mark, a tough one on Friday night. You were up 17-0. Kane stormed back, got the win. Had to be disappointing, but at the same time, it wasn't like just a total fiasco. Kane just made those plays, man. Give me some thoughts about that, Mark, and how are the kids?
Well, first off, my utmost credit goes to the Kane Wolves, their players, and their staff, because they did a phenomenal job in the second half. And if you want to take a game where they talk about the tale of two halves, you look at Ridgway in the first half. We dominated every statistic you can imagine, and Kane was on the outside looking in. And then you get into the second half, Kane dominated every statistical category, and Ridgway was out, obviously, from the outside looking in. But it's one of those deals where it was, if you're a fan watching those games, that was one of the great high school football games that you want to watch. But as a coach, being a part of it there on the losing side of it, I take the heat for a lot of the things that took place in the second half. And a lot of those things we honed in on this week to try to improve. The kids came in. Obviously, it was a very disappointing night for us, especially over in the Paper City, a place that we're used to having a lot of success. But Saturday was a new day. We regrouped. We had a great JV game on Monday against Bradford, and we got ready this week.
Yeah, I'm looking, and again, because you had texted me and said, you kind of take responsibility. And Mark, I watched the game. I mean, is there something in particular you think you may not have done right, or is that too much to ask?
Well, I just think from start to finish of the misalignment on the big 94-yard touchdown. But again, credit to Kane that they found our weakness and they went at it. From the block punt the first time that we were fortunate enough to get off the field and hold them down at the goal line, and then to come back to give another block punt up, which takes place right in the end zone. We should have made some changes going from the first to the second. And, obviously you look at us offensively, and it's a credit to Kane. We couldn't find our identity in the second half.
Yeah.
Or the first half, we moved the ball at ease. And as a coach, you got to look at ways that what could we have done a little bit differently here or there to make that outcome different. Yeah. But at the end of the day, obviously we weren't on the good side of the scoreboard, but we live for another week, and what a great way to go against our rivals in St. Mary's.
Yeah, I do want to talk, because you're kind of starting over. You lost 3 seniors on the offensive line, and I kind of was watching some things, and damn, Mark, you have been able to move the ball. Now, you got to credit those guys. If I could just kind of talk about your offensive line. You got junior Bo Vigilone, Frank Howard stepped in, and I've got sophomores Logan Hake, Mason Gordon, and Kyler Redfoot. Am I right with that? And how do you think they're coming along, Mark?
Well, you had in there, a junior and Brandon Steger at,
right.
At the end position there. Obviously we only have one senior that plays on offense, and are we a younger ball club? Absolutely, but that's not an excuse by any means. But to see the way that those guys have progressed as the year has gone on, I couldn't say a better thing for them, and my hat's off to them. But like anything else, there are weaknesses that we got exposed, and we need to continually get better at those as the year goes on. And obviously in the second half there, Kane did a great job and took a lot of things that we were really good at in the first half. And those are things that we really had to focus on this week to get better at.
And again, too, with that youth, do you think it's hard? Numbers are where they are, Mark, and you got so many guys playing 2 ways. Are you getting guys prepped? Are you thinking you're getting in a position maybe to give guys a little more of a breather with some of your younger kids? Because you are young, but eventually they got to grow up, I guess, huh?
I think we've grown up a lot. And, obviously you look from last year to this year, we're 1 and 2 just like we were last year at this point, but I feel we're a lot more competitive in games than we were last year.
Yeah.
Per se, after 3 weeks. And, obviously the fact of the numbers game, it just doesn't affect Ridgway. It's affecting the program throughout the entire District 9. And we just actually had this conversation on Monday with the JVs. We're one of the few schools that are continually playing JVs, and from the number that was relayed to us, out of all the schools in District 9, there's only 9 teams that are playing JV football. And I think that just says something of football and numbers across the board. But again, it doesn't matter. The best 11 going out in that field, we're going to do everything we can to put a good product on the field Friday night.
Yeah, and again, it's a situation where, you are 1-2, but again, all those games, like that was incredible. There was a scenario where you could have beat Red Bank. You took care of business in Smithport. And again, on Friday, it was a game, you had the ball there towards the end. I mean, that's all you can ask for, Mark, and that's just different than, we saw it coming on last year. And it's moving on. It's just getting that win. So you got to be encouraged, but I'm sure at the same time you want to see those kids rewarded.
I do want to see them rewarded. And one of the crazy parts about it is you take the second half of the Smithport game and the first half of the game last Friday night against Kane.
Yeah.
That's 4 quarters that we played complete consecutively. And they realize when they put their minds to something, anything is possible. And we're hoping that throughout this week that, we fixed it and honed in on a lot of those mistakes and build off a lot of the good things that we did, that we can put together a complete 4-quarter game, because we've yet to do that this year.
It is cool too, because I was talking to Matt a little earlier that you guys have kickers, and that's just fun to have. I mean, Mario got that one right before the half would have been big. Just missed it short. But having that kicker, that does add a whole new dimension to teams that have that advantage, like Tyson up in Kane and Mario. That's just a cool tool to have, isn't it?
It is huge. And, obviously the field goal portion of it, Mario, he does punts for us.
Yeah.
But I think the big thing for kickers, especially in high school football, is if you can start a team out on the 20-yard line, you got a touchback. And that means that pretty much your kicker's got a pretty strong leg. And I wouldn't trade Mario for anybody in the world in District 9. And just to see the way that kid, he's a full-time soccer kid, but in his times where he's not at soccer games, he's at our practices trying to find any way to make himself and his teammates better. And my hat's off to him.
Yeah, it's got to be nice to have Xavier Stockman in there after he missed all of last year, and he's gelling well with, you got Rocco Allegretto. They're juniors now, Nate Stager, and that list of kids, Marcus Gerd, just you got athletes, Mark, and seeing that come together. But at the same time, again, there's that little bit of learning curve, but we're going into week 4, so we're veterans now, boys.
We are, and what people don't understand about X, is the fact that he missed his whole freshman year.
Yeah.
And, essentially he came in, he has literally 12 quarters under his belt, and he doesn't come off the field, and he's the last person to complain about anything. And the more game experience that young man can get, the better off he's going to be. And he's one of those silent leaders, just to see what he did in the offseason and to see what he's doing on the game field. And as the year progresses, I think you're going to see more and more out of him.
Yeah.
And that's what we keep trying to tell the kids, week in and week out. Does it stink that we're not where we think we need to be record-wise? Absolutely. But the growth that we're making, and we just got to get the mental aspect of it, of playing 4 full quarters of football.
Yeah, I certainly miss hanging out with you guys on the sideline during games, but, I'm able to watch so many games at once now, and I have watched St. Mary's, and Chris, that first game was almost, just throw it out the door. It was the first game against Carn City. They nearly came back against Brockway. They got the win last week down in Brookville. They're hungry. They're wanted too. This is a county rivalry. You're an old Dutch yourself. Just some thoughts going into this game, Mark.
It is a rivalry, and it's the old days of Ridgway Johnsonburg, or St. Mary's versus Elk County Catholic, or Ridgway versus Elk County Catholic, or Johnsonburg versus Elk County Catholic. Now you have pretty much the Johnsonburg Ridgway versus all of St. Mary's, and you can't script it any better way. And on a Friday night, pretty much in the fall, where you get the opportunity to play your rival game, everybody wants to be a part of it. It's going to be a packed house at Dutch Country Stadium. And obviously, St. Mary's is coming off a big win there, and, they very easily could be 2-1 right now. But at the end of the day, I say week in and week out, and year in and year out, the team that makes the least amount of mistakes is going to be in a great position at the end of that game. And I'm hoping that we fixed a lot of bad habits that we've picked up over the last couple of weeks.
Well, I've been throwing some curveballs at coaches this week, and I got to ask you now, you were a player for the Dutch. Give me some memories from some of those rivalries and some of your career, Mark.
I don't know if a water boy counts. No, but we did, and it's kind of neat because some of the kids that I actually played with back in high school are actually coming home for this game, and it's going to be pretty bittersweet. And obviously, we were not very good in my playing days there. We were 09-1 my senior year, but the memories that we took place, we still talk about to this day. And you'd have thought we were undefeated. And, the last game that always used to be played, it's almost like the Ridgway-Johnsonburg rivalry was always like the last week of the season. Our last game of the season was always El County Catholic. And, there's not a better way to script this thing to get some former alumni coming in that used to be my teammates to kind of watch.
Yeah.
So it's going to be
The
fun.
cool thing is just the way you guys do your game day, and, you're on the road over to St. Mary's, and you have just people that kind of cater to your needs because they love football, they love your kids. What's the agenda this week for the game, Mark?
So, same thing, obviously kids will come in Friday, we'll do our pregame meal and do our walkthrough in Ridgway. And, obviously we get a little shorter bus ride this week compared to going to Smithport and Red Bank of the 10-mile trip over there on Route 120. But we are excited, and I think St. Mary's is going to be excited too. And if the crowd was any inkling of what took place last Friday night, I think Dutch Country Stadium's going to be packed.
All right. Well, you sound like a determined man, as you always are. I know your kids are chomping at the bit to get on the field. As always, my friend, it's just a pleasure to spend some time with you, Mark.
Likewise, my friend.
Joining us in Studio B via telephone, St. Mary's head coach Chris Dworek, whose Flying Dutchman got win number 1 last week in Brookville 24-14. Chris, I didn't get a chance to talk to you last week, but you guys almost came back against Brockway. But I felt confident just talking to you after kind of that rough opener that you guys were getting it together. Didn't quite work in Brockway, but had to be pleased with that. Last week it did. How you feeling, my friend?
Yeah, the kids never have given up. They haven't stopped working hard. So I knew we got better in the Brockway game, which is nice. But to get that reward finally with the win and the routine and the traditions we do, felt good. Felt good for the kids, and it was nice to see them having fun after a game.
They come out, the big play, and it's like, but you guys did not falter. Eventually, you guys ran the ball for 288 yards. Once you kind of seized and got into that moment, you just took over, my friend. What was the key to that? Just keep going, guys?
Yeah, the kids got confident in what we were doing. Then we just simplified it. We just kept doing things that they felt comfortable in, things we were having success with, and we mixed up some things a little bit, with the run game, offensively. But then the defense pitching a shutout in the second half. That kind of helped a lot out too.
Yeah. I'm looking too, because like I said, Andrew was his typical Andrew. You're getting big contributions from Landon Cook. Brody is fitting in well at quarterback, but that offensive line, and I'm going to go through this, correct me if I'm wrong on these names, but I got, seniors, Jason Overly, Milo Brem, Owen Thompson. You got a sophomore in there, Nico Assalone, and we got junior Tyler Sheely. Was I okay with that?
Yeah, those are all good ones. Yep.
What'd you feel as the game was going on? Those guys really stepped up.
Yeah, and the things Brookville was doing early, they kept doing, blitzing and stunning, and those guys calmed down, and they were able to block a very tough defense because they were bringing a house, and so the kids just kept their nose to the grindstone, and those front five were the key to the whole offense and the whole team staying calm.
Yeah, it's nice too because I think junior Matthew Gilmore is kind of coming into his own, connecting a little bit, but he made one heck of a play on defense that prevented a touchdown at one point. And another guy I'm looking at here that Cody Thompson, a junior linebacker, he was all over the place. So again, you've got that mix with old and young, and it seems to be working. How's the leadership going for you, Chris?
Yeah, the leadership's really going good. In fact, halftime we challenged those leaders to step up and be a little bit more vocal and lead by example. And they did. They always do. It's just one of those games they were shell-shocked a little bit, and it just took a while to calm down. And yeah, and Cody and Matthew, those are both two quiet leaders. They're both captains too. Yeah. So they're looked upon for some big responsibilities.
Yeah. How was it returning back to Brookville, where you coached for so many years? I almost wish you had the turf down there, buddy. But how was your reception down there?
It's nice. Heck, I have a routine where I'll drive in front of the bus and I'll park my truck at the house and I'll walk down to the game.
Oh, that's cool.
So then the coaches are real good with that too. They'll take the kids, supervise them on the bus back and forth. But it's nice. I see a bunch of old friends, and it's also nice too because I have some motivation with some people that showed me the door a few years ago. So I still like seeing them because that gets me a little juiced up too. Yeah,
a little extra incentive there. That's always
That's right.
Cool. Hey, this week you got Ridgway, and they had a tough one against Kane. They were up. It was just Kane getting a blocked punt here. That started the whole thing. And, I mean, Mark's squad was able to move the ball. It was just a few things here and there. You guys have battled pretty well lately. They got you last year after I think you had won. Well, they had won in 21. You won 2 and 20. And then you won in 22 and 23. It's now the official Elk County rivalry, buddy, with ECC with you and Berg and Ridgway together. How fun is that going to be?
Oh, it's definitely fun. It's a good, healthy, clean rivalry. We did some stuff together this summer in June, Coach Heindl and our teams together. So we invited Lock Haven coaches to come do a camp with us, and we had like 30-some kids on each team doing stuff. So it was fun. And it's always a tough battle. Even the JV games are really good. Yeah. The junior high games are good. So Coach Heindel's a first-class guy and first-class program. So it'll be a good tough battle. That's for sure. Just like every other game. Yeah.
And it's kind of cool because we're going to play each other. So the rivalry lives, and that's just part of it. So hopefully we get a full house over there. But I was going to ask you too, as you get moving on here, after that first week, again, we almost chuckled, but you felt strong with your kids. There's no looking ahead because we're not going to look at the 3 that come after this week because this one's very important. What are you going to tell the kids going in to even that mark up?
Yeah, well, that's the thing. Just to build off of our confidence we got started and our momentum. It's just nice to keep practicing hard, knowing that good things happen when you practice hard. So that's it. Just really, it's cliche, one practice at a time. Focus on this play in practice. We just had the kid make a bad play in practice today, and we yelled at him, just focus up, do a good job next play. And that's what it is. So it just builds off of that. Yeah. And the kids seem to be buying into that mentality.
Boy, that's so important because sometimes, and you see it sometimes, things aren't going, you're not winning, and kids try to overcompensate. And sometimes I think it's just do what you're going to do and you'll be okay. You got to calm them down a little bit.
Yeah, definitely. The kids, and they watch a lot of TV, and they think they have to act a certain way or do a certain thing, so that there's extra pressure on them because of that. So it's a lot of psychology anymore these days. So once you get them calmed down, they can think better and play better. Yeah. And, they feel good and everything goes well, and I'm sure you guys are excited. Hey, since I didn't get a chance to talk to you last week, and the Ridgway Kane game was in Johnsburg, we talked a couple years ago and kind of going to do up to the past for you. I remember that night after you guys won in Johnsburg, we talked a little bit, and you said, I was here with a guy you might know, Tim Myers, 1988 Johnsburg graduate. What a super dude. What a super quarterback. You went to Clarion along with him. What was that like, Chris? And everyone I meet from Johnsonburg especially, Tim Myers, and they all say, and then I'll tell a story, and then they tell 20 stories about him. So he was, heck, we lived together for a few years. We were teammates for a few years. We hunted and fished together, and that's just how he was with everybody, and you could see that. Yeah. So, miss him every day, miss him every time we talk about him, and yeah, he was a good one. He was a fun one to be around, that's for sure.
Yeah, I remember you telling me it was like, you're with him, and it was like Muhammad Ali walked into the place or something. He was surrounded. You guys were like shocked by, holy cow!
He was like a rock star. That's what I tell everybody. Just instantly swarmed. And I remember one time at a game, me and my other friends were up with Timmer at Memorial Field there, and we lost him. So it's halftime, and we're looking around, and you see Timmer, and yeah, he's up in the press box doing an interview. So.
Yeah, he was a good dude. Hey, I've been asking other coaches, you got anything weird or different you do on game day, like picking out your outfit or anything, or is it just you just go with it, or do you have a routine there, Chris?
Yeah, I don't. It's almost like I'm the opposite of superstitious. So, like if we did well last year in my red shoes, or last week, I'll wear blue shoes this week just to prove that it wasn't the shoes. And I don't know, but I like the routine though. I like the doing stuff at 5 o'clock and then doing other things. So putting up the kicking net is something I like to do, and so a couple minor things, but the routine, the timely routine's nice, but not the clothes at all. I don't mind that at all.
Oh God, during Stanley Cup runs, I'd be changing Penguin jerseys about every third goal or so. So
me too. Same way, same thing.
Yeah, finally, I said, dude, you have nothing to do with it. Okay, take it off. Bam, Islanders score. Okay, so hey, it can be nice being at home again, huh? I mean, the road trips weren't long ones, but still, home cooking will be nice for you.
Yeah, definitely nice. The crowd's going to be big. It's elementary night, and it's Stallions night. So all the Stallions will be on the field for pregame doing stuff with us. So we did it last year, and it was a blast, and it was so fun that some kids this year are asking their coaches, "When's Stallions night going to be? When's Stallions night going to be?" So so can't wait for that too.
That's so cool for those kids to look up to your kids, because that's what it's all about, man. I remember being a little kid, pretending I was some of the superstars from Johnsonburg, and I'm sure somebody was Chris Dworek down in Brookville at one time.
That's true. Hopefully, I hope so. But it is neat. I remember last year they were on the sideline and we were punting, and so we had a punter go off, and the kids are like watching fireworks. Ooh, do you see that one? Ooh, that's good. Makes everybody feel good.
Well, you make me feel good every time I talk to you, buddy. So I don't have a horse in the race on Friday, but so I'll be watching very diligently and look to continue with you on a weekly basis, my friend.
Sounds good, Bob. Looking forward.
And joining us via telephone in Studio B, it's the head coach of the unbeaten Port Allegany Gators, Justin Bienkowski. My friend, how are you doing?
Life is great, my man. We just had a big win for us last Friday. Kids were back to work today, getting film, trying to clean some stuff up, and ready for our next opponent.
Hey, how cool was it? And I don't mean this in a weird way, but how cool was it to be involved in a game after two kind of blowouts?
I said that to numerous people that have asked me about that. Some of my colleagues at school today asked about that. I said it was a blast.
Yeah.
It was really fun against a very quality opponent and a well-coached team, and fast, competitive, physical, talking to some of their players pregame, and there's some of their coaches were talking to some of ours, and all in a good way. Chris Rossetti asked me that. He said, you guys are part of history tonight. And I said, I knew obviously we'd both gone to the state final last year, but we all want to move on. But I didn't realize till after that, I guess we were part of history, win or lose. Yeah,
right. I got to ask you, so you guys take the lead, they tie it up, you guys go up, and then they open the second half, score, it's 14-13. I'm watching the game, I'm watching the composure, I'm watching the poise. Your kids did not disappoint, and it looked like it was like, all right, let's just go out and score.
Yeah, I commended the coaches and coaches yesterday, our meeting, and the players today in film. I cut the film off after that first drive of the third quarter where they 3 plays, and if you look at all 3 plays, we made so many mistakes across the board, but they got coached hard and they responded well, and they did exactly what we try to preach in our programs: next play up, and there was no, any type of, let down or here we go again or anything of that nature. It's just like, hey, and I told the kids, when you watch the film, Clarion had been a part of 2 4-quarter games. This was our first 4-quarter game. And I thought we, established ourselves and made them feel us. Towards the end of the game, our guys were walking around nice and tall and broad shoulders and big chest, and they were kind of slunched over. And so I was really proud of that kind of, not X's and O's thing, but that's just part of preparing yourself the right way.
Yeah, again, your stars come through, Aiden Bliss, Mr. Phil Hart, Villu, it was just those guys. But I really, just watching you guys, and I'm watching the offensive line, Justin, I want to just focus a little bit on that, and correct me if I'm wrong, but you have senior Ethan Tarbuck, he's the center. You got another senior, Braden Babcock, and you got juniors, Garen Wright, Gavin Moses, and Isaac Postlethwaite. Am I right?
Correct.
All right.
Yeah.
So it does
3
pay
of those
off.
5 guys never played offensive line until this year.
No kidding.
Number 60, Skeet, Isaac Postlethwaite. He was our 139-pound wrestler on a district championship wrestling team last winter, playing left tackle and defensive end for us. It had 3 sacks, had 2 sacks to end the game. Gavin Moses, who is he was a one-way player for us for the most part last year at defense and did a great job for us. But then we needed him to move to the offensive line and play some offense. He's got a motor, and I've told people, watch out. And by the time he graduates, he's going to deserve to be talked about with some of the best that we've had. And then Garen Wright hasn't played football forever, seemingly. Weight room kid, strong kid. Not the most physical when we started, but man, he's burying kids, and so those 3 juniors are raw. And then you got Ethan Tarbox, who was our center last year. We tried to not make him our center this year, and we tried to move him around a little bit. But push comes to shove, he worked his way back there, and then Braden Babcock, who he'd tell you this. 2 years ago, if you'd have told me that Braden Babcock was going to be a starter offensive lineman in the state final team, and now to come out and do what he's doing again this year, 5-6 years ago, we'd have said you're nuts.
Yeah.
But through sheer work and the guys work together, and they're starting to communicate better. It's like anything. You got to gel. You got to practice. You got to get yelled at together. You got to. I would say lose, because fortunately we haven't.
Yeah,
we got to fail a little bit together. But our line coach, Chad Alexis, he has come in because our old line coach, Brian Neal, went on to be the OC at Eldred, and then Bubba Ramo, just through work and life responsibilities, he's made his way back on a part-time basis. But it's Chad's baby, and I've told him, this is how we expect. He just came to our staff last year.
Yeah, right.
This is what we expect. This is what and he's gelled and fit in, and he's taken this offensive line group and he's grown it. He deserves a ton of credit because, certainly I'm not always I'm fairly demanding of our guys, and we didn't actually start the season off real well up front, but the guys they're understanding where we're coming from, and they're, credit to Coach Alexis because he works well with them. He raises his voice when he needs to, but for the most part, it's just even keel, loves the sport, loves the game, and he's a great leader for that group, and we're just blessed that he ended up over here.
Oh, that's so cool. I mean, it really is, especially seeing kids develop, Justin, and that kind of is a stamp on a stamp of approval for the program and how kids do step in. Got to make you feel good.
Yeah, I really am proud of how our coaches. We kind of pride ourselves on developing kids. We don't want kid to be as equally good as 11th and 12th grade as he was as a freshman. And, not only part of our program is the weight room, but, the off-season trainings and playing other sports. And that's why those 3 kids are able to have success. And our coaches are involved with them, I feel like, year-round, touching base with them, seeing them in the weight room, seeing them at, basketball or wrestling matches or baseball games. And it's cool because we truly, truly care about, each other, and you can see it in the way we practice. You can see it in the way we play. The coaches trust the players trust the coaches. When you're down 1 against the former, 2A state runner-up and at their place is going crazy. Yeah. Kids can't hear us, and they just kind of said, okay, let's go.
Yeah, and then your big guys obviously stepped up. I mean, that run by Aiden before the end of the quarter. I mean, okay. And then from there, it was just kind of like, it's Gator time, boys.
We just tried to adopt our philosophy, try to put our stamp on it of, We still want to be the most violent team, and I tell this all the time. We still want to punch the other team right in the mouth within the rules, and that's what Clarion did to us in the third quarter.
Sure.
The start of the third quarter. They bam. And it's like, and I told the kids, I said, I was happy with our halftime. I was happy with our, walking down from the locker room. Everybody was ready to go. It wasn't like we thought this was. It wasn't anything like that. It was just, that is what it is, and it was great. It was cool atmosphere.
Yeah.
But in the past, we learned some things from it. We hope to get better, from the film mistakes we saw. And keep on keeping on.
Yeah, it had to be cool playing down at Clarion High, named after Mr. Weiser, one of the finest in the district. Did you know that he was actually born in Ridgway, Coach Bienkowski?
I did not know that. That makes sense as to why he has all that success.
I think he moved when he was 2, and I'm going to get Larry on the show at some point. I think his father was, he was in the Army with Mr. General Patton during all that. So Larry's going to be fun. Yeah, sometimes an old guy gets I probably screwed that all up, but hey, how cool was it to play at that stadium though? It just seemed awesome.
2 years ago when we played there 2 years ago in week 2.
Yeah.
When Coach Weiser was there, I've come to know him fairly well. We talked. I dedicated the field to him that night, and then we came out, scored the first touchdown, and then the wheels came off and Jace Ferguson took over.
Yeah.
But it's a cool atmosphere. I played down there. We beat Clarion area in the district semis in 1996.
Yeah.
Smethport up in Kane.
Yeah, I
played there before. It's an old school. The stands it's like a big bowl. You walk down the steps, and the fans are essentially, our fans are in our back pocket, and then their fans seemingly are yelling right in your face, I feel like.
Yeah.
But all cool environment. It was a well-officiated game. It was a well-attended game. It was well played. There wasn't any. It was very physical, but nothing extra. Minimal turnovers.
Yeah, it was fun. It really was fun to watch. And again, the guys in the Gator Network did a super job, as always. So, we got Smethport coming to your home field this week. You're shooting for a 16th straight regular season win. Hey, it's still the Hubbards. There's still a rivalry. Just some thoughts about that, Justin.
I 100% agree with you. It's great to be back home because Lord knows when we're away this year, we are away.
Mm-hmm.
So it's good to be back home. It's senior night for our senior band,
cool.
Band, cheerleaders, and players, which always makes it extra special. And then you're still playing your crosstown rival that some of these kids are on the same wrestling team with in the winter. So they're competing against their wintertime teammates. And, anytime you're competing against guys personally, it's a little bit different. You want to work a little bit harder or whatever. But our guys, they don't treat, I'm telling you, Bob, they don't. If it's prepping for Cumberland Valley to go play BG, or it's prepping for Smethport at home on senior night, week 4, these kids, they attack it the same way. It's super neat to hear Aiden and Nick and Brennan yell out, through film study. Like, the only way they know what they know sometimes is you can tell they're in the film. And,
right.
It's just cool. And our kids always have the same approach, continuing to try to make sure. And we talked, our objective this week is to be the best Port Allegany we can be. Mm-hmm. We need to make sure we get ourselves right. We can't control the schedule. You prepare for formations and all that, but we just need to be the best Port Allegany up front. We need to be ball secure. We need to be penalty free. We just want to play a clean game, and like always, we want to punish our opponent within the rules as best we can. And
sure.
Hopefully, hit some adversity and respond to that adversity appropriately. And it's just another week.
Yeah, it's so fun to watch you guys because I'm watching it from the outside now, so I don't have a dog in the show, but it's kind of fun because, like I've said before, you guys are kind of the big bad Raiders when you come to town, and it's just been a ball, Justin. Can I throw you a question out of left field?
Bring it on.
All right. How do you decide what to wear on game day?
That's a great question. Well, the coaches that are on the sidelines, that are myself and then Coach Bachman and Coach Phil, who are calling an offense and defense, we purposely will wear opposite of our players' jerseys.
Okay.
So that way, not that my big bald butt can't be seen, but that's just way, just separates themselves. But other than that, I can't stand being cold.
Yeah.
often will overdress. Like I overdressed Friday night because I thought it was supposed to get cold, and then I sweat my butt off.
Yeah.
But the former assistant coach with me years and years ago, back in the heyday, used to say, "Look good, feel good, play good." And
right.
Sometimes we try to make sure we, wear our Sunday best, so to speak, for a Friday game.
Okay, we'll leave out.
There's some thought that goes into it.
Okay, we'll leave out if there's, superstitious underwear or so, because I know things can be a little, you're a coach.
A couple years ago, I used to have a marble that I put in my pocket before I left the house for either the bus or a home game. But then I can't remember if it may have been in 22 there with Blaine, Drew, and Noah, and where we lost in the state semis.
Yeah.
I don't remember what it was, but I'm like, well, time to get rid of that.
Yeah, well, like I said, it's sheer joy. It's always a pleasure to talk to you, buddy. And I'm looking forward to keep rolling and watching the Gators keep rolling, my friend.
Yeah, we hope to keep putting a good show on for people and playing football the right way and representing our community. And it's always good to make sure you help you spread the good word, man.
All right. Thank you, my friend. Our special guest this week, I've been looking forward to talking to the young man. Our special guest this week on Football Focus is Nate Steis, former Elker, Ridgway graduate. We're going to get into all the things you're doing, but you're also been doing some broadcasting of the Dutch on B94. Nate, glad to have you here with us. Fill me in on what you're doing, my friend.
Yeah, absolutely, Bob. It's a pleasure to be on this. I really appreciate all the work you're putting in, all the people that you're connecting with. This is a great program here, and honored to be on here. So, yeah, just recently moved back to Elk County. Been back here about a month, and I didn't waste any time getting involved with the community. So glad to be back here after about a decade in Erie, going to school and working and, doing my thing. But, yeah, back here broadcasting for B94 with Mark Martinez as the play-by-play and myself on color commentary. He's quite the professional.
Yes.
He's worked in professional broadcasting, and he makes my job incredibly easy on B94. So what a blessing it is to be with Mark Martinez every Friday night. Really good guy, really good friend, ultimate professional. So really glad to be with him. But like you said, Bob, doing a few different things. I'm also, continuing with Western PA Sports Blog and writing those articles about people from all over Western and Central Pennsylvania, collegiate athletes, professional athletes, committed high school athletes. So, yeah, I love to do that. Love to share those stories, highlight these young people and what they're going to do in their next chapter, what they're doing in their current chapter, their future plans, all those sorts of things. And then, on the side too, I'm writing for the Meadville Tribune remotely. I get one article per week in the sports section, writing similar articles about collegiate athletes from Crawford County. So Meadville, Cache High School, Sagertown, Cochranton, Crawford Christian Academy, and schools like that, Maplewood as well. So get to share about those young people as well. I haven't met very many of them in person, but some great phone calls and video chats with those folks from over the last 4 or 5 years. I'm so blessed to have that opportunity as well. So, working in sports, and then full-time, Bob, I work in higher education, so I have that as well. Yeah, so busy guy. Yeah.
I love it, my friend. And like I said, you got a style. I remember I started with the record in 2018, and I think you were doing some feature stories at the time.
Yes.
Then I ran into that. I think it was 2019 at the Elk County tournament when Ridgway won that thriller. And I do have to throw in, your sister Lindsay was probably the most ferocious athlete I've ever seen, buddy. And if she got anything from that, from you, how was your career, my friend? I did nab a picture of you in an Elker uniform. What do you remember from those days? Because that was what year did you graduate, Nate?
Yeah, I graduated in 2015, so 10 years ago. It's kind of crazy that I'm thinking back on, 10 years, my class, great bunch of people that I graduated with from Ridgway High. Bob, I don't know where Lindsay gets that from. She is tenacious, to say it mildly. Itty bitty little thing, 5 foot nothing, to be generous, but she is one of the most determined people I've ever met. You're not going to push her around. She's going to find a way. And, she was a heck of an athlete, battled a lot of injuries. She did have some collegiate interest, but she decided to go the academic route. And, she's a environmental engineer, has a master's degree from Cal Berkeley, so she's doing excellent things, and, so proud of her. But yeah, talking about my career, I was a 3-sport letter winner for Ridgway. I believe I graduated with 6 letters, 2 in baseball, 1 in basketball, 3 in football, and then played a little bit of club soccer on there as well. So I was well-rounded. I wasn't the greatest athlete, to tell you the truth, but I learned a lot from great coaches and truly not playing in the games, going to practice, sitting on the bench over those years in varsity, being around really smart people. And I learned a lot. I was really lucky to play for Coach Allegany in basketball, Coach Heindl in football, and Coach Mark Morelli in baseball for those couple of years as well. All great men, all really, really good leaders that are all very successful coaches, no matter what sport or where they've been. So, I didn't play a ton. I played a little bit in football, a little bit of line action, some special teams, basketball my senior year. I probably played more than I should have. Coach Allegany was incredibly good to me. And then baseball-wise, I was kind of a tweener. I played a little bit here and there, kind of a reserve, started sometimes, just kind of depended. But, I just always loved sports. And I was so blessed to grow up in a small town where I could actually make the team. There weren't tryouts or anything. Right. And it's changed my life, and, I'm hoping to kind of pour into these kids and the community that helped me and just give back any way that I can. I didn't think it was through coaching. I don't think I would be a good coach at all. So I did it through broadcasting and writing, and it's been great. So,
hey, because you were in the early days of the co-op. What was that like back then now? And kind of, if you can, Nate, I know, you've been away, but you keep in touch. What was it like then, and now you see it now? Is this kind of what you'd expect it would be in the end?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm so glad that they did that. Any opportunity to play a sport is better than not having an opportunity to play the sport. Right. And, we kind of kicked things off with co-ops. I know that Brockway and DuBois Central Christian had one before us, and they're very successful with their football operations over there as well. But yeah, it was very interesting. I went to the meeting with the school board. They talked about, we're doing this for football. It's going to start for baseball, and other sports had already started between the two schools. And truthfully, I'll be completely honest. I wasn't a fan. I won't even lie about it. And I'll tell you exactly why. I was a 16-year-old that felt threatened by losing playing time, and I thought it was kind of crazy because we had a team, and I thought our team coming up through those last couple of years was very good. We were a great junior high team, and I was like, well, this stinks. I feel like I'm going to fight for playing time and things of that nature. And I'll be honest with you, Bob, my junior year, I didn't go out for the team, and I actually joined the team about 2 weeks into the season of games. So I was so thankful that I realized I made a massive mistake. I had a bad attitude problem, and Coach Heindl and the collective allowed me to have a second chance and come back. And I don't know if many people remember that, but that's the honest truth. And I'm so glad I went back out. I still got a lot of playing time my junior year once I came out, and my senior year was really great. And we had a great team. Unfortunately, we were number 1 seed. We were 9-2, and we lost 2 games in 3 weeks, both to Union, a great football team. But, they were kind of our kryptonite. And for some reason, we couldn't get it done. They had some great athletes, and they had our number that year. And, unfortunately, we walked away with just an AML title that year, which is nothing to sneeze at. But we all wish we would have that D9 championship in football. I can tell you that much. So, very interesting experience in high school, to be honest. But, back to the co-op sorry to cut you off. But, one more thing I wanted to say about the co-op is it's such a great thing. Like I said earlier, to have that opportunity is better than not have that opportunity. You know what I mean? I'm so glad we have this. They've won a lot of district championships. They've sent kids to college. They've gotten kids scholarships through sports and academics. It's a great thing. There's a lot of investment. Denny Heindl and those folks have put more money back into the weight room, and it's a great thing for our community. And I'm so glad that even though we have small numbers comparative to some of these huge cities and big programs, that we still have high school football around us. So it's a blessing to have it, and I'm really glad that I got to be a part of it those few years. And then the kids after that, the next 5, 6, 7 years in a row after that, they really rattled off some special teams, and I'm glad that I could be a part of kicking that off even in a small way.
Yeah, that's something really to be proud of, my friend. So what are you thinking so far early here in the season? We're 3 weeks in. I even had said, I had talked to Chris here earlier today, Dworek, that, we had talked. I didn't get a chance last week to talk to folks, but, even going into the Brockway game, they weren't all discombobulated after Karn City. It was almost like you got a chuckle that, okay, we're moving on, They
Right.
almost come back against Brockway. You guys, I'm sure, were planning, okay, we're going to go for 2 or we're going to kick. And last week it came together. What was that like for you to see that development, firsthand?
Absolutely. Yeah. Credit to Coach Dworek, their staff, and those young men on that football team. They look like a totally different team from week 1 to week 3. And you could see the progression they made in week 2. They darn near took down Brockway, who's a very good football team in their own right.
Yeah.
And, coming into week 2, they had a slow start, and then they really made some strides. They took the lead for the first time in the season, and they just fell up a little bit short. And then last week, they kind of had a slow start again.
Yeah.
But as soon as they figured out, we got to keep this thing on the ground. We got to run the ball. We got to run the rock. They had 250 plus rushing yards, and they really figured out Brookville. They didn't let that offense stay on the field. They made the defense stay on the field and be exhausted. And honestly, St. Mary's, that 2-headed monster they have in the backfield with Field and Cook, they're going to be pretty tough to stop going forward. I think. They kind of came out in a pro set offense, and they've really gone to this I formation and then spread it out just a little bit when they need for some trick plays and some guys on the outside with some speed. But that I formation looks great, and they look like a pretty different football team already 3 weeks in. Week 1 to week 3, they look completely different. And, St. Mary's is – they figured out what's working, I think. So, for Ridgway, they got to make some adjustments themselves, but they've also had some success this season. But, this is going to be a huge game Friday night. Battle of 1 and 2 teams. One team's going to go away 500. One team's going to be 1 and 3, and they really will have to fight an uphill battle to get into the playoffs from there.
Yeah. What's your plan for Friday?
Yeah, so I'll be on B94 with Mark Martinez. We'll be calling that game over in St. Mary's. We're really, really excited about that, to have the radio broadcast and then also have a Facebook Live video broadcast as well to go along with that. So, that's our plan, to continue to do that. And, week 1 we had some technical difficulties, with the windows and, being in week 1. So,
well, you'll be back there, so you can make those adjustments, I guess. Hey, you did. I was almost going to ask you, because I often kid, and I've never asked him, because Mark, it's like, all right, is it Martinez? Martinez? It was and maybe you have a different name for him altogether.
Yeah.
He is a super dude, man. And I'm so happy that you're happy working with him, because it makes me beam. One thing I got to tell you, I miss being on the sideline, more so even during the pregame and talking to broadcasters and all that. That's just something doesn't that give you a blast of adrenaline? Isn't that cool just to be a part of that, almost more so than being a player, because you really have no dog in the fight. You know what I mean?
Right. Absolutely. I couldn't have said it better myself, Bob. It's just, there's something special about showing up and, everybody being there for the kids. I understand the coaches are there to win football games, and rightfully so, but, the scorekeepers, the statisticians, the athletic directors, and all the other folks on radio, newspaper, it's such a great environment. Everybody's super welcoming. Everybody's doing this because they love their hometown, their school, their community. None of us really do this to get rich, not small-time Pennsylvania football and sports, but, it says something about people to show up for their young people in their community and the school districts and the co-ops and all that. It's for the collective, it's really, really special to be a part of that. And, truthfully, I am an Elker, so, I do root for them, but I am impartial. I'm a media member. I take that very seriously. I don't try to get too wrapped up in that. I try to be fair and down the middle as much as I possibly can. When people deserve their flowers, I give it to them. When people, should reevaluate something, I try to say so in a very kind way. We're talking about kids at the same time, and coaches that some are volunteer or making a very minimal payment to do this. So I try to call it down the middle, be professional, and just be excited about this because I think that it's such an opportunity to promote a great sport or various sports, promote great communities, great people. So I take it very seriously and try to be as impartial as I possibly can.
Well, you are one of the good eggs, my friend, and my motto, and I'm going to test you here. I'm putting you on the spot. You know what I like to say? I'm going to let you say it if you can. Be kind and
do your best to make a difference. And I love that. I love that you promote that. It's such a great message, and I never get tired of seeing it, Bob, at all. It's amazing. So
I appreciate it. Hey, I appreciate the time with you, dude. Have some fun, and we'll talk again. And like I said, I've been looking forward to this, and I'm so happy that you're happy, and I'm seeing what you're doing, dude. You are truly a good egg, and thank you so much for coming on.
Absolutely, Bob. Yeah, it's a pleasure and honor to be on here, and I'm so glad that you have this program. So thanks for, thinking of me and, being a great friend and mentor and all those things to me. I really appreciate you for sure.
Before we take off, let's take a look at this week's action. 1-2 Keystone is at 3-0 Kane. The Ridgway Elkers at 1-2 are at 1-2 St. Mary's. 0-3 Smithport is at 3-0 Port Allegany. The unbeaten Punxsutawney Chucks are at 1-2 Central Clarion. It's a battle of unbeatens when Cameron County travels to Union AC Valley. 2-1 Brockway is at 0-3 Brookville. 1-2 Otto Eldred is at 1-2 Red Bank Valley. Karnes City 2-1 is at 2-1 Montauk. Bradford at 1-2 is at DuBois 2-1. And 0-3 Coudersport is at 1-2 Bucktail. Join us Friday night at Duber's Place Facebook page. We'll provide you links to all the games and just have some fun taking it all in. Enjoy your weekend, enjoy your football, and remember, be kind and do your best to make a difference.